In the heart of Vancouver and Maple Ridge, where stunning landscapes meet vibrant culture, a hidden reality persists behind the picturesque facade. Homelessness and addiction cast a shadow on the lives of those calling the streets their home. As Vancouver's cityscapes transform into pockets of despair, the intertwined struggles of homelessness and addiction unfold. Among the gleaming skyscrapers, makeshift shelters, and crowded alleys reveal a parallel world. The homeless face challenges, from lack of affordable housing to limited mental health services, worsened by harsh Canadian winters. Substance addiction adds to the challenges, especially in downtown Eastside, a hot spot for the crisis. The open-air drug market and injection sites showcase desperate measures to cope. Organizations and community initiatives offer support, yet systematic issues persist, demanding a comprehensive effort from all levels of society. The story in Vancouver and Maple Ridge reflects broader societal issues, urging attention, compassion, and collaborative action to confront root causes. Only through empathy and collective effort can we create cities where beauty isn't overshadowed by the struggles of those on cold and unforgiving streets.
Susan, this area is the area that mostly homeless people come and hang out. Today is really cold. They're in shelter. Tell me about your experience that you have in Maple Ridge and what's happened since then.
I got introduced to the homeless problem here in Maple Ridge when the homeless people were living in the Greenbelt, very close to my home, and lighting fires. And so this was very problematic because there were hundreds of families living around that Greenbelt. It was super dangerous. And we have to call the fire department all the time. And then a local group was formed called Clean Up Maple Ridge, just local citizens, because the amount of garbage and drug paraphernalia in the Greenbelts and in any kind of off the track place was piling up. And so we started getting in there and cleaning it up. There was a tent city here, which I think everybody in the province knows.
Yeah, by the park, yeah.
And it's nice now, and this beautiful park shows you that it can be cleaned up. When people move in and start tent cities, it can be cleaned up, but it takes the will of a government, and in our case, the local government, and our mayor at the time, Mike Morden, did a great job of that. He promised the people he was going to clean it up, and he did. And then he made it into this beautiful park, and so
for this community,
for the community, and people can come and enjoy it. I think it stands as a wonderful testament to what you can do when you put your mind to it, to improve your community and do things that are positive.
And all the homeless that they tented here, they all went to a shelter, I assume?
Well, they were put in what they call scattered housing. So throughout the communities in Maple Ridge, BC Housing would rent a basement suite or a one-bedroom apartment. And then they also built quite a number of these temporary supportive housing buildings. And they were housed there as well.
So people come to this area again to hang out and then maybe have, their drugs and smoke their
Absolutely.
Pipes
Yep. And this is the kind of a beautiful park that our Supreme Court has just said it's fine for the drug addicts to come here and do their drugs while your children are playing in the playground. So this is what we're dealing with.
What other sources that you seen that people doing right now with homelessness?
Well, in the last number of years, one of the trends has been for people to buy a van or an RV and live in that. And so people have been parking along the streets.
Like, I mean, people who does not have money, how they can buy RV or van?
Well, when people say they don't have money, I guess that's all relative, because money is found. People are buying RVs, and even if you spend $5,000 or whatever, maybe they think that's the better way to go. But even out in Chilliwack, these like the rest stops were full of RVs.
That people are living in because there is no affordable housing.
They can't afford an apartment. Our rents are so unaffordable now. I think if you went out and talked to the people that were in those RVs out in Chilliwack, you'd be surprised about who's living in them. You know, I once thought about, maybe it was a romantic notion to live in an RV and save money. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's not good for the community either. So that's another way people are just trying to survive.
So this is another solution that people find.
Well, they think it's a solution, but it's turning out to be quite a significant problem.
Because they need a place, they need a park, they need an RV place to park those RVs. There's not many RV parks.
And the sewage, one has to think, where are they getting their water? And what are they doing with their sewage? If you can't, service an RV properly,
then there's going to be a lot of...
it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And the government is not taking this in hand. And you can't just keep building for people and still bringing in 1 million people or more, 1,400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go? And what about the population that lives here already? We can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
In Maple Ridge, there's a local crisis involving homelessness and addiction, affecting not just individuals but also families, especially those with children and local schools. The community is dealing with mixed emotions about supportive housing initiatives, causing tension between the urgent need for help and community concerns. Shelters and housing facilities meant to address homelessness raise worries about their proximity to family homes and schools, showing how complex and divisive the issue is. Residents are unhappy dealing with the unsettling reality of people with addiction issues living nearby. The once close-knit community is now trying to find a balance between helping those in need and ensuring the safety and well-being of their families.
The building behind me is one of the support buildings that they made in Maple Ridge. It's for the drug addict people. They made this building for them, so they've been living here for a couple of years. It is among the community with families who are living, and there is a daycare right beside this building as well. The community is actually not very happy about that because they said that it's not safe for their families and their kids.
Maple Ridge still is getting known for their homelessness. In fact, I just heard a statistic that 1/3 of our homeless now is senior citizens.
Oh, wow.
1/3.
What happened to those homeless people that they were actually camping there?
Well, that was the solution designed by the NDP government. They thought it would be a good idea to put them in what they call scattered housing. So they would take drug addicts and mentally ill and rent people's basement suites all around, rent basement suites all around Maple Ridge. And so you might not even know that you have drug addicts living next door to you.
Oh, I see.
And there was about 10,000 of those.
So they're among people, they're among the community, but people.
And they built at least three temporary supportive housing buildings.
Which is that for the addicted people, right?
For mostly the drug addicted people. And they were supposed to be temporary, but they're still up. They're still living there. And that's years ago. So this problem isn't going away. And, if you could say, well, there's fewer overdoses, maybe that would be okay. But that's not what happened. There's more people that have died.
Susan, let's talk about affordable housing and supporting housing. What's the difference between affordable housing and supporting housing that the government is actually providing for people?
I think people would understand, supportive housing is mostly given to people with drug addiction problems, and they call it supportive because you're going to support them in maybe getting job retraining and things like this. But they are still allowed to do drugs while they're living in these supportive housing units.
And this building is one of those buildings that you were talking about?
Yes, and I met a young man who was living there. He got a place, and he had a bit of a drug past, but he was off the drugs and he was just trying to get his life going. And he said it was almost impossible because it was so chaotic living in there with mostly drug addicts living in there. And it's just complete chaos. He could not, get his life going. And it's so unfortunate that this type of housing isn't given to seniors and low-income families because it's not working. These were supposed to be temporary. How many years has it been since they've been up here? Years and years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the support houses that you were talking about.
Yes, when they closed Tent City, they put up these temporary supportive housing units for the people that were leaving the Tent City, and they were only supposed to be here a year, maybe 2. Well, we're 5 years in. Finally, some good news for the seniors. There's a development application right behind us here.
That they're going to develop this for seniors.
Yes, the 98-unit, 6-story building for seniors, which is fantastic news. But how many years away is it going to be before that is finished?
Well, currently they've been living here for 4 or 5 years right now.
Well, the drug addicts.
Drug addicts.
No seniors are here.
Yeah.
This is not this temporary
facility.
thing behind us. This building behind us was not for seniors.
Yeah.
This was given to the drug addicts.
At one point, I remember, see those, the windows with glasses with the curtains. They were brand new, and
Oh, yes.
look at it right now.
When they moved in, everything was brand new and lovely. But unfortunately, folks that are in addiction don't take care of things. So that's sad. So now we're in 2023. We have a third of the population here of homeless that are seniors. How many years is it going to be till they can move into this?
You talked about seniors that they do not have affordable housing right now. What happened with the money that the government gives them, for the old age money?
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
No, if you're on Canada pension and maybe the supplement, your maximum is $1,700. Well, we know now that a 1-bedroom apartment
It's $2,200.
is $2,200. So
Yeah.
how is a senior even supposed to rent a 1-bedroom suite?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
I ran into a senior the other day. He was standing out baking outside Michael's, and it was just on my heart to go and talk to him. Like, why are you out here? And I asked him.
Yeah, as being a journalist, you're always curious to know.
Well, I was curious. I really felt for him.
Yeah.
He says, I have no money for food. And I sound like I'm tearing up because it's heartbreaking to see a man in his 70s or early 80s baking out on the street because he doesn't have any money for food.
Yeah.
That he barely has enough to cover the rent. And when the rents go up and up and up, the seniors, there's no money for them. The government isn't saying, oh yeah, we'll cover you. They have a program called SAFER, Shelter Aid for Elderly Renters.
But there's probably a big list and waiting list for it.
Well, I'm not an expert on the program, but it's clearly not enough. We have spent, I don't know how many, untold millions on drug addicts in British Columbia over the years. My cousin was a mental health patient at Riverview years ago.
Yeah, the hospital in Port Coquitlam. Yeah, I remember.
He had schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And back in the day, people might remember that, I guess some people thought it was a good idea to let the mentally ill out.
Oh,
They
just
should
like
have,
that.
They should have a free life. It's wrong to lock you up.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
So they
without
went.
any help, without any
help.
Consultations.
No, nothing. And he could not. He fell victim to drug dealers and became addicted to drugs and eventually died of hepatitis.
Oh, no.
And my brother and I were sitting by his bedside when he passed away, and he didn't even look human anymore.
Too sad.
And that was, 20 years ago?
Yeah, and this is keep happening, especially in BC, because BC, other than provinces in Canada, it has a better weather. So therefore, most of the homeless people from other provinces, they move to BC as well to get a better, they get better weather and better shelter. And now we have more homeless people than other provinces, I believe.
Yeah, although I did see that back east in the Maritimes, they've got a very serious problem too. I just read an article where a man, I guess he was a new immigrant, he had a job, but he had no place to live. He was about to jump off a bridge when somebody came along and offered him a tent.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane what is happening in Canada. Absolutely insane, and it affects every single town. And the government is bringing in, over 1 million people a year? For what? There's no place for them to live. There's no doctors. There's no anything. There's no hospital rooms.
There's no consultations, especially with people with mental health issue. They need consultation. They need someone to help them. They need some kind of facilities. Even for drug addict people, they need some kind of facilities instead of just having the support home or temporary support home. You know, a facility that can help them to, to be healthier and better and to can work in a community. You were saying that the government is also offering them some kind of workshops and to help them out with the help.
Well, this has been in place for years. That these temporary shelters is they're supposed to have these supportive services to help people, but it's obviously not working. And a lot of people, when they have these supportive services, businesses have been built on the backs of drug addicts and the mentally ill. Oh, we're going to help them out, but that whole business is built on helping them out. It's not built on results.
Yes. Yeah.
So now people have their careers helping them out. But if you actually solve the problem, you won't have a job. So there's really no will anymore to solve this problem. And it's very obvious that there is no longer a will. The government just the other day, or I read an article that they're considering giving fentanyl to minors.
Oh, yeah.
So what does that tell you about the government's will? These people aren't stupid. This isn't done by accident. This isn't done by incompetence. This is a deliberate, in my opinion, a deliberate attempt to really break down our society, because there's no other way to look at it. Our Supreme Court the other day.
Why to minors instead of giving
Well,
them?
you should ask the government. I didn't make the decision. They did. But who in their right mind would say, oh yeah, we're going to give fentanyl to minors?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind would do that? Or how about this one? In the Supreme Court the other day, the judge said that it's fine if drug addicts go to children's playgrounds and do their drugs there, because to stop them would cause irreparable harm to the drug addict.
Yeah.
Well, this is only going to end one way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for the drug addicted, the federal government's going to bring in the medical assistance in dying and allow drug addicted people and people with mental health problems to access that program to kill themselves. So this is where we're at.
The suicidal acts and then also the mental health issue, they're all related to each other.
Well, if you're absolutely hopeless in your life, you have no money, you're drug addicted, you're mentally ill, you're living on the street or in a tent freezing to death, maybe, getting medical assistance in dying might look good. And people have accessed that. Do you know more people have died through MAID than died of COVID?
Yeah.
More people have died of overdoses than of COVID. And how much money did our government spend on COVID? So people have to wise up and really look at what the government has done and continues to do. They are not here to help you. They're not. This is being done deliberately. Why? You'd have to ask them. But we need to stop it.
So do you think the BC government, I'm not talking about federal government, but the BC government should step in and make more affordable housing, do some changes, and give more shelters to these people and give help and facilities.
It's not working. It's not. That's just doing more of the same. Like, everybody had a good heart at the beginning of all of this. Oh, the poor people, we should give them food. And of course they need some shelter.
Like even non-profit organization that they're doing some help. Yeah.
It's not working. So what are you going to do? Maybe it's time to institutionalize anyone that is drug addicted and mentally ill, because leaving them out to their own devices only hurts them and the community. So if there's no will to actually help a person, what does that tell you? There's no will to help you. And now we're going to give you an out through medical assistance in dying.
Now, living in Maple Ridge for 10 years, what was the outcome of the community when they see all those homelesses, first of all, in the park and then moved some other places in Maple Ridge?
Absolute outrage. And Mike Morden won the election based on his promise to clean it up.
The mayor of Maple Ridge, yeah.
He was our mayor.
He was a mayor,
He got elected mayor at the time. And he did a good job of that. However, he was up against the provincial government, who were not too happy with him and his plan to
for this action.
Oh, no.
For the park action.
Absolutely not.
I see.
So and they just wanted him to shut up. And it was a message to all the other mayors, because this is happening in Victoria, Prince George, Nanaimo, Powell River. It's happening in Penticton and everywhere. This is by design. People need to understand their communities are being dismantled piece by piece.
You see, homeless people, there are people, you know what I mean? They don't want to be in that situation because of the mental health issue that they have. It dragged them to addiction, and from addiction to homelessness, and from homelessness sometimes sex abuse and abuse. So then it leads sometimes to suicidal acts that they have. So it is not their fault, literally. The reason I'm saying that, because maybe they did not have a choice. Maybe they were in a situation that lead them to there. What is your opinion about that? Do you think that they had a choice? Do you think that they might have an idea what they're getting themselves into? When you're mentally ill, it's so hard to make a decision.
There has to be a distinction between people who are mentally ill and people who are drug addicted. Sometimes mentally ill people become drug addicted, like my cousin, but he really was a person with serious mental health problems that should never have been let out on his own, because he couldn't survive. Now, people who choose to get into drugs, okay, but you know what? You don't have to stay addicted to drugs. You don't. If you
but it's so hard to come out.
No, that's why you have to institutionalize people against their will.
Which they don't, yeah.
They used to. And we need to get back to that. If you really care about somebody, we can see this isn't working for them. They're dying. So what game are we playing? We got to stop game playing. If a person is addicted to drugs, in my opinion, they need to be institutionalized and get off the drugs.
Not given drugs.
Not given drugs. And they just decriminalized all the drugs, and now they're handing them out.
Yeah.
So why would you hand drugs out to somebody who you think should get off of them?
I think one of the issues, because I was talking to some people about that, and then they were saying that there were counselors, and there were people that are actually working with homeless people and drug addiction, and they were saying the reason they're giving fentanyl or giving other drugs to these people is because they don't want them to use the same needle, or giving the bad drugs to them, or that's why they were controlling the system like that. And what's your comment about that?
Well, I laughed out loud.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, it's a joke. I'm sure the counselor wants to keep their job, counseling the drug addicts who will never go away because you're not giving them the chance. They have to be removed from the drugs so they can actually heal and recover their lives. It is totally possible for someone to get off of drugs and have a decent life. But not if they're given drugs every single day.
Yes, yeah. Now, as a former journalist, you made a documentary about homelessness and addiction. How long ago was this?
Oh, just probably 2020.
So about a decade ago, almost.
No, 2020. How many years? 3 years ago?
Oh, 2020. I thought it said 2000.
2020.
Okay. What do you see any changes since then?
No.
Or do you think it gets worse?
Worse. It's worse because the statistics are clear. More people have died than years in the past. This isn't getting better. It's not working.
Yes. Well,
affordable housing shortages intensify the struggle, leaving seniors without shelter or facing lengthy waiting lists. The community is actively seeking acknowledgement and interventions from the government to address these pressing issues. Residents are calling for comprehensive policies that not only tackle homelessness and addiction, but also provide sustainable solutions for affordable housing and support for vulnerable seniors. The plea is for a collaborative effort that recognizes the multifaceted nature of the challenges Maple Ridge faces, ensuring that government initiatives align with the community's needs and concerns.